I 40 female know that my husband, 40 male, is cheating on me with my best friend, 36 female, but if I leave, he will take half. I am a mom to a 5-year-old baby girl, and I have been married to my husband for 12 years. About 10 years ago, I started my business, which is my pride and joy. I love my life and I enjoy my work. 2 years ago, I lost my beautiful mother to breast cancer. It all happened within 5 weeks, and she was so young when she passed away at 55 years old. It sent me into severe shock and depression. Shortly before that, my best friend found out that her husband had cheated on her and left her for his mistress. It was a difficult time, and my best friend and I became even closer than before. She moved in with me for a while after my mother passed away because I wasn't functioning well, and she was homeless. I started taking antidepressants that killed my sexual desires. I felt guilty towards my husband, but I couldn't do anything except by trying harder to regain my health as soon as possible. My best friend lived with my husband and I for a year, and towards the end of that year they started sleeping together, which I found out one day when I came home early and heard them in action. The day when I found out, I immediately ran out in shock but decided to return after a few hours, pretending nothing had happened. Shortly after, I managed to find her a place because I couldn't bear for their affair to keep happening in my home, my sanctuary, my happy place where I live with my daughter. My best friend had already found a job, which is also when I took the opportunity to find her an apartment near her workplace. She was grateful. I felt a bit more relieved. However, the affair is still ongoing. If I leave, he will take half, which would ruin me, my business, and what I am trying to build for me and my baby. So, no, I don't want to leave, more like, I can't leave. It's so unfair that he is the one cheating and I am the one suffering if I were to say anything. I refuse to confront it, so I am letting it happen. Instead, I have decided to write him off as my companion and safety net rather than my life partner. I still have a lot to be grateful for: my baby, my family, my beautiful home, and my business. Most of the time, I am content and happy even though I don't know how I am managing it. Maybe it's numbness or maybe it's true contentment. But sometimes, especially at night when he wakes me up because I am crying again when everything feels overwhelming. "Are you having a nightmare?" he asks, trying to kiss and cuddle me to make me feel safe. I'm here. "You're safe?" he said. How I wish I could tell him that my real nightmares are my inability to escape from my marriage with him and that his shoulders aren't a safe place for me. He rarely asks why I am crying. He probably thinks it's because of my mom, because that's what I told him. But sometimes I feel like he knows or at least can't help but wonder. Sometimes he'll ask, "What's going on behind those eyes?" I responded with, "What do you mean?" Eventually, I realized that I was unable to read his emotions anymore. Most of the time when I looked at him, he'll immediately looks away as if afraid he would turn into stone. My panic has increased tenfold over the past few months as he started to pay attention to me again. Initially, after my mom's passing, he never bothered me, perhaps out of respect. He never asked for intimacy. Then he started his affair with my best friend, or should I say ex-best friend, so he didn't truly need me. But what about now? I don't understand what has changed. The affair is still going on, so I don't understand what he is trying to achieve with this, and honestly, I also never truly understood why they are doing what they are doing. I've seen their texts. There's no love, respect, or warmth there. Nothing I would expect from two people who are sleeping together, especially given the high stakes. You would think they love each other enough to risk everything. Instead, there's a lot of anger, fighting, and resentment in their text. It's true that there's some level of guilt and self-hatred between the two of them, where he calls both of themselves disgusting and shells of human beings. Is that some twisted form of love, too? I don't know, but I can't be bothered anymore. Update 1. 2 weeks later, I've decided that enough is enough. That is when I have taken 2 measures to protect myself and my daughter when my husband and I eventually get a divorce. Firstly, I confided everything in my father. He was horrified but somewhat relieved to finally understand what's been troubling me. We discussed the possibility of him buying into my business so that in the event of a division, he and I would hold the majority share and decision-making power. Secondly, I agreed to my husband's suggestion of seeing a marriage counselor. During our sessions, he focused on my mother's passing and its impact on my emotional state. He talked about my walls and my emotional distance, expressing a desire for me to come back to him. I couldn't help but wonder how he would react if he knew the truth. Would he still complain about my barriers or finally understand them? I also opened up about my mother's illness and its profound effect on me, not just losing her, but also the generational legacy of breast cancer in my family. It still haunts me knowing that I might have passed this burden down to my daughter. But I've decided to do my best to educate her fully on this topic, rather than feeling guilty about this. Since we started counseling, we've been communicating more in our daily lives. I honestly admitted to him that my business adds stress to my life. I worry constantly that if we don't resolve our marital issues and he decides to leave, it could derail my career and future, whereas his government job provides more stability. The day after our session, he sat me down and suggested a post-nuptial agreement to reassure me. He also expresses that he wanted me to be with him because I wanted to, rather than I am obligated as I am being financially trapped in this marriage. While we share a house together, I no longer care about it as everything else can be considered marital property, and honestly, I've grown to dislike this house and can't wait to leave it. So, the next step is initiating our separation. I'm aiming to start the process soon. Then comes the hardest part, telling my daughter that Mommy and Daddy won't be living together anymore. I'm really not looking forward to that conversation. At this point, I have no idea how I am going to get through the next couple of months or years. I guess I'll just have to pull through, for the sake of my daughter.